This is TV from me by TV by me, TV for you, TV by me. I will get that right. I don't know why I chose such a tongue twister to introduce the show. What I do here every Wednesday at 2 o'clock on mytimetv.live, I introduce people to you who are going to be helping or who help enhance the lives of people in their community. This could be anything from a yoga class, meditation, permaculture, getting your finances right, cooking, vegan cooking. I hear you're asking for it. Tarot cards, physical fitness, or like anything that that affects you in your daily life. Today we are talking to the lovely Linda Emslie. So let me just pop her. There we go. I'll bring her on in a moment. Linda is a career coach. Now, I'm actually not a career fitness mentor. I'm probably going to get that wrong. But what she does is she helps people with transitioning from a career that they're perhaps not entirely happy with to a career that they love and enjoy being at. Hello, Linda. How did I go with that? Did I botch it up completely?
No, that was a lovely introduction. Thank you so much, Adaire. It's truly an honour to be on Community TV with you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, you're welcome. It's absolutely my pleasure. I know you do your own shows a couple of times a week here. You've got the Monday morning Bliss Bombs, which is your meditation. And I always enjoy hooking into those. Annette's here. Annette's saying hello. And Fiona's saying she wants to watch this back. She's at work. She just finished lunch, but so she's got to go back to work. And she said that there's a few people that she knows that fall into this category at the moment. But the other thing I wanted to mention was you've just jumped off of your lounge room. Sorry, lunch. Tell me what it is. You can hear I've got this cold, and I think my brain has gone the way of my throat. So help us out.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I was actually just doing my lounge room chat, and a part of that is to give information to people who are looking to detox their corporate career. And a lot of what I do is help people who are managing a massive stress load. Let's face it, most of the people in the workplace are dealing with massive stress loads. A lot of it comes from financial burden, but a lot of it comes from the fact that their beautiful little soul voice living inside is crying, saying, let me out. And, it's coming from the outside as well. Our world needs what each of us is bringing. We're all here for a reason. Each of us has something beautiful and healing to bring to the planet. And so when we talk about, detoxing the corporate career or transitioning or transforming, I need to be really clear that my vision is about balancing the energies, about bringing the divine feminine back into the fore so that we can heal what's happening in the masculine flow so that we then have true expression of divine masculine. And then it's like that yin-yang thing. We have dynamic balance between divine feminine and divine masculine. At the moment, we've got no feminine. We don't have divine masculine. We just have a dominator paradigm. So that's part of my vision, is to shift us out of that paradigm and bring us back into beautiful balance where each of us are able to express our own healing power in the way it's needed. So that was a bit of a tangent. I told you that story.
I think you just did a massive download just then, Linda, because I'm totally relating and resonating with the masculine power. We've got a few people here. Sujata's popped in. Hello, Sujata. And I know from conversations that we've had, and I've seen you on other lives before, that maybe something that you're considering about your soul's purpose and that voice inside of you that where it's actually going to be expressed. So if you have any questions for Linda about where you're at the moment and how you actually transition from where you are to where you want to be, Linda is the person to speak to, because I was saying before and I said it over and over again through our conversations together, that I wish you were there in 2009 when the world was falling down around my feet, and I was steeped in a very, very masculine environment. And I used to say, I worked in emergency services, and I used to say there's just too much testosterone here. Beautiful people, but the actual environment was soul destroying if you've got that voice that needs to get out. And I think that, without any disrespect to the institutions in our society, the people who are caught in the institutions are probably, a lot of them, I would suggest, are suffering because you can, one of those days, you don't break the law, you break yourself against it. And I think that's the same with institutions. You actually break yourself against trying to change something that has been so deeply, deeply embedded in the psyche of society. It really is soul destroying. Faraz is here. Hello, Faraz. And Annette. Hi, Annette. She's saying, started a company last week. She's been so busy. And she shared as well.
Wow.
Thank you, Annette. Thanks,
Annette. Thank you.
Hear about your journey. So if you have any questions for Linda, please ask them now. We're here for half an hour. And Linda, when I let her get a word in sideways, we'll be sharing more of her wisdom about how we can actually make that career transition so that it's in a safe way. So perhaps we could start by just asking you what a career shift mentor is exactly.
Okay, really, really great question. It's essentially a journey coach, I would characterize myself as, so the idea of transforming or transitioning, it's a twofold thing. When I work with people who are feeling trapped, they're feeling stuck, there's a certain sense of loss of identity, there's a feeling of futility, they're just generally really unhappy. A lot of it's to do with that loss of connection with the deep divine femininity, and that lack of connection with the natural world. Let's face it, the institution that you're talking about that's so entrenched really has only been around for a few centuries, since the Industrial Revolution. Have we, kind of put ourselves into a workplace and operated as, humankind as machine kind of approach. And so this is that whole mindset that, particularly epitomized with women and family coming up against the institution, where the institution doesn't have time, doesn't have space, and it doesn't make allowance for family. And it's not just the women who suffer. There are men out there in the workforce who would prefer to be spending much more time with family and all of that, all that entails. But, this is such a big topic, and I'm really getting off tangent, so I'll try and come back and be really focused. The idea of detoxing your corporate career, there is twofold. There is often room for people to explore what's happening for them and to allow space within themselves to invite that divine feminine energy, or goddess, or whatever you like to call it, that sense of softness and connection with the natural world. There's often enough room, if you give yourself space within, to bring that and allow that softness to ripple out into your workplace. So it could be that when we talk transformation, I'm not talking, you're going crazy, you must leave to solve, the only solution is leaving. Leaving is definitely one solution, but inviting the feminine into where you currently are is also another solution. So we look at that. We look at whether there is scope, whether there is capacity within yourself and within the environment that you're in for that to be a success for you, or whether in actual fact you are completely in the wrong place. You do have a soul purpose that's taking you somewhere else and needs to be expressed in a completely different way. So we explore those avenues and see which is the right fit for you. And then, because I've experienced the leap of faith myself, Sounds like it was roughly the same time as you, Adaire, so I'm really surprised we didn't meet earlier, at least 10 years ago.
I think it's
Yeah,
divine timing, isn't it? And Sarah's
yeah,
here as well.
absolutely.
Hi, Sarah. Good to see you
Hi,
here.
Sarah.
It's great.
Yeah,
So,
Sarah Louise, lovely to see you here.
yeah.
Yeah, so that whole idea of the leap of faith, it's
Mm,
beautiful and having that trust in the universe. But let's face it, you and I both know that as you're frantically constructing that parachute on the way down and that ground's rushing up at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour, it is scary. And it's not
yeah.
just yourself that you're putting at risk. It took me a long time. I was miserable in my job for 15 years before I
Wow.
actually left because I had 4 young children.
Yeah.
How could I leave the security of my job knowing that, well, how am I going to feed my kids?
Mm,
I'm putting all that burden on my husband, changing the dynamic of the income, so no longer having that equality in the money equation. There are so many factors to take
yeah.
into consideration. So, you know,
Hashtag nodding.
what I,
Hashtag nodding.
yeah. So what I'm offering people is the benefit of my experience. Not only do I come from a corporate background with a fairly strong level of strategic planning and action planning and all that sort of lovely stuff that comes with corporate marketing, etc. But I also have the value of experience as well as nearly 10 years in the healing arts, in body work, energy work, intuitive and psychic work, and so on. So I bring the whole package. So when you work with me, I can identify the pitfalls for you. I can help you with the mindset wobbles, and I can certainly do the healing process because it's as much about a healing process as it is anything else. Help with the healing work as you take those steps out into the place you need to be, whether it is, in fact, still within your workplace or whether it is in something completely different.
So, Linda,
And
one of the biggest things for me, because I was a wreck. I was my life was a train wreck. My body was, my health was, my relationships. It was, and I'm thinking, how did you do 15 years longer than what you should have? I did about 4 years longer than what I should have. And that was bad enough. And I had managed to get into a completely awful space. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, but I'm doing some self-care by
oh, beautiful.
by having some homemade tonic that my beautiful sister Debbie, or my sister-in-law, but she's my sister, um, has shown me some great stuff. But I want to come back to the the thing that I held on to when I was there, and the biggest thing you mentioned about the inequities between in the parities in the pay between the partners, and that was a big thing for me. And there was some really deep seated stuff around my independence and my financial independence, and I still actually struggle with that. So it's not something that you can just sort of bounce out of bed and go, yep, that's it, new leaf. That I'm moving, I'm just turning over a new leaf. I knew without a shadow of a doubt I had to leave that workplace, because otherwise I don't think I would be here today. And it was that actually bad, but it was in me. It wasn't actually the workplace. It was the journey that I had to go through, and I'm totally grateful for that experience now, as weird as that might sound, because I can look back and I've got the huge contrast. But so what do you do when people work with you? How do they feel, and how, I know you said that you can work with them to bring the feminine energy into the workplace, or if that's not possible, there's other things that they can do. So what would have you told me 10 years ago if we'd met, and you know what you know now, and I didn't know what I know
Mm,
now?
yeah.
What sort of things would you share with me?
So the most important thing that any of us can do is to come into connection with our inner voice, that
Mm,
inner wisdom, that spark of the divine that lives within. And the way I show people to access it is through their body. So, you know, there's a huge wealth of emotional turmoil and stress and so on that goes with, you know, when you're sitting in a situation where you know you're in the wrong place. For instance, for myself, same deal. The actual workplace that I was in before I left was okay. The people that I worked with were beautiful people, and they actually supported me very well. The institution itself was terrible, and I was like a square peg in a round hole. I just did not fit. It was not for me. And I was crying, driving to work every day. I'd be crying. I would have to sit in the car park for 15 or 20 minutes, just pulling myself together enough to step in the door. And then, you know, going in the door and just being a complete, you know, functioning automaton. Is that how you say that word? You know, it wasn't doing my team any service, wasn't doing my employer any service, and it wasn't doing myself any service. So the thing that really pushed me over the edge was clearly hearing my inner self say, if you don't leave, you're either going to end up in the mental ward or dead.
Mm.
And it was just, that was the start. It was either,
yeah,
it was either a complete breakdown or I was going to kill myself.
Yeah.
Either one of those is not what I wanted to do, and it's certainly not what I wanted for my family.
Yeah.
So what I try to do with people when they come to me is equip them with little tools and strategies along the way to start listening to that inner voice, to feel where the discomfort resides in the body and make connection with what the body is actually trying to say, so that they can hear that information, get the cues that they need, and make decisions from a balanced place of emotion and mind before they get pushed to the point of no return. Because literally, I got pushed to the edge of the cliff and I decided, well, I'll just jump then before somebody pushes me off.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Well, I think I was.
You know,
Yes,
that's not a good place to start.
Well, and it's not, but we ultimately, you know, get the. I guess the thing is around getting the confidence to know that we can now leap off of any cliff and build our parachutes on the right way down. Because for me, it was finances was a huge thing. So both, like I said, for the family finances and for my own conditioning and my own belief systems about what made me valuable as a person. It was really interesting unpacking all of that as well. But if you could give, go on. I've got
I
a
was just going to say that,
but that's okay. We'll talk in a minute. Yeah, go. Yeah.
I was just going to say that's a really interesting point that you make, and that's the thing that I hear most commonly. If I could just replace my income, I'd be out the door tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of work around determining needs and wants, determining, you know, so I've done financial fitness coaching as well. So I bring that to the table as well. So we can really explore what's actually happening with the personal finances and whether things are as grim as they look, or whether there's actually room for change in the financial situation that will then loosen some of the structure around belief about being stuck and not having choice. We all actually have a choice. We choose to be stuck.
Yes.
You know, we can choose to be unstuck.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's brilliant. I'm glad you shared that with us, because it was a huge risk, and I had, like I said, I didn't feel like there was a safety net. I didn't feel like there was really anything. So I did have to do a hell of a lot of work. So to have some of that planning would be amazing, to be able to go, all right, so I'm planning on leaving, or even going part-time, or if you can, because in some positions you can't. Or so you say that there are several options that you can help people stay in their workplace, or you can help them manage to leave. And there are different options that people do have available to them. And I would actually fully suggest most of the people that I speak to, Linda, are the heart-centered people who really, and you said this earlier, who really come from the feminine energy. And it's funny because a lot of them do have jobs in male-dominated or masculine-dominated. Oh, that was my bad. I'm actually waiting on a call from the insurance company so we can get the number, policy number for our public liability insurance for Rotary. So I did have it turned on, but and I'm not even going to take the call, so I might as well turn it off. Anyway, there you go. So
that's okay.
That's
all good.
Now, where was I? Joanne's here too. Hello, Joanne. Welcome. Thank you for joining.
Joanne.
Yeah, I've totally lost my train of thought.
Oh, that's insurance for you.
Yeah, I know. And I tell you what, that's an institution. Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say, was that the people who come into the space where they are wanting to either take control of their own future by starting their own businesses, or their micro business and home businesses, or taking control of their careers, I find that a lot of them are coming from those types of environments, whether it be it's very institutionalized types of environments where it's very masculine and male dominated energy that's pervading those environments. So I'd love to see if there are any stats or on how many people, and particularly I'd suspect, sort of women from maybe 40 to 50 and above, who are just going, well, this is, I'm actually taking that leap to go and do it on my own, or taking control of my own career, my third career or my fourth career, or however that looks. In my experience, there's been more and more people that are actually, particularly women, that are choosing to do that. Sarah's part-time employment has helped her in a large way stay connected with her family values, but keep the dollars coming in. Yes. Yeah. I wonder if it's different with if you are working part-time as opposed to full-time, because it's not soaking up every single minute of your life, perhaps.
Yes, and that could be an option for people to explore. If there is opportunity in their particular workplace, in the current situation and environment that they're in, whether dropping to part-time hours is a feasible option. And these are things to explore. If that gives you what you need to be able to allow that softness into your world so that you can start hearing what's being said to you by that beautiful inner voice, then do it. Yes. I reckon go for it. Do it. But the interesting thing is, I think the institution that we're talking about is under fire. And when some of these big structures in our energy system start to feel the pressure of change, we get pushback.
We do.
And so a lot of us are actually feeling that pushback. It feels like we're getting locked in even harder because there is change coming. And it's not just about people waking up to their soul purpose and treading on that path and bringing the light down to planet Earth. There are also societal changes that are dictating that the way we work is changing and that those institutions will crumble. So things like, the onset of artificial intelligence, the
social
huge mega trend of baby boomers moving into retirement, all of these things that are impacting us globally are necessitating a change in the way we work. There's no two ways about it.
And I think
so you may as well choose.
And that's it. And the rise in social media has provided opportunities that we have never, ever had before to reach out and connect, see what other people are doing and how they're doing it. And it's almost like, well, hey, if that's, it really does reduce the isolation if you choose to let it. And I think that's something that's been quite interesting in terms of social media, because for the average person in the street, they'll say, well, it can increase your isolation, but we've proved that different, and it's not to be. It really is a great connector. And I actually am a part of Rotary, and I'm finding that there's some of the stuff that I'd love to see happen with Rotary, as much as I love the organisation and other service clubs and other not-for-profits as well, as much as I love them, and they do wonderful stuff in the community. They're actual, as a whole, they are part of the institution of what we used to know, and I know that there are people that find it difficult to to change and grow with the times. Sarah's saying, I work in a female-dominated industry and it's just as bad as working in a male-dominated workforce. It's a struggle to get women in my workforce to connect with that divine feminine. So, and that's a really, really good point.
Yeah, and I think that's actually... Yeah, I was going to say that's actually a symptom of working in that dominator paradigm. So that's where we have women who are working in a framework that's artificial, that has been structured on a particular way of being. And, you know, there's that sense of competition. And this is one of the things that really draws me to the work that you do, Adaire, is that idea of collaboration. So, you know, in the current institution, it's all about competition. It's fear-driven, and it's about, you know, being the top dog. Yes. And even when women get, you know, I came from a very strong female dominated area within the institution that I worked in. Marketing surprisingly draws a lot of women, particularly in government. Same deal, you know, some of those women were the most backstabbing, power-hungry thrusters that I've come across, you know, real political animals. And it's because they have to play the game that way for them to feel successful in themselves, because they're playing the game the way it's structured. I remember it does bring out the worst of us.
Well, and there's nowhere for them to go. I do remember reading a book, and it would have been in the mid-2000s when I was climbing up the corporate ladder in emergency services, and I was in a management consultant role. So I was what I termed like the non-operational side of things, which immediately was, you know, sort of downplayed in the scheme of things. But I remember reading a book because I was struggling with how to get to keep the femininity and the feminine energy in. I don't actually even realize that. I don't think I was realizing that I was trying to do it back then, but keep that energy in that institutionalized masculine energy workplace. And I think one of the things that this book I read was How to Be a Woman Manager in a Man's World. And I read the book, and oh my God, basically it said, grow some balls and be like a bloke. And I don't know whether I burned the book after or before I burned my bra. No, I'm serious. But it is, I think, in terms of, you know, actually, I was reflecting on that the other day too, when I was thinking that, you know, sort of the female population physically as humans, we have been through this metamorphosis, and now I think that the energy of the of who we are and what we do as humankind is starting to shift towards a more of a balance, which is what you said right back in the beginning of our conversation, is we don't need to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We just need to find a balance between the masculine and the feminine energy so that they can coexist in harmony. Barb's here as well. Hello, Barb. We're about to wind up. We've got 2 minutes, Linda. If there's somebody sitting at their desk that are watching this and stomachs in knots and they've got sweaty palms and they're having panic and anxiety attacks and really going, I have to get out of here, do you have some tips that they can do right now to save their sanity until they get to you? Because then we'll talk about how they can connect with you.
Okay, I think, you know, when you're in that state of turmoil, it is so hard to see any way clear. The best thing that you can do is connect with someone that you trust and get some healing work done. The initial healing just to calm the system enough for you to start taking on board clear information. So whether it's connecting with a friend and just having that chat where you let that emotional turmoil escape with someone that you feel safe, or whether it's actually seeking a professional therapist and having some counselling work done, or just some form of healing, whether it's massage, whether it's energy, whether it's psychic intuitive stuff, whatever it is that helps you feel safe. Because what you need to do is ground that so that you know where your feet are on the ground. And once you can feel the ground again, then you can start to get that sense of balance and centeredness, so you can start making choice.
Beautiful.
You
Thank
can't
you
make
for
choice
that.
when you're like this. Yeah.
No, you can't. You can't, because you end up making choices like we made, which, I mean, ultimately turned out for the good, but I wouldn't wish that on anyone, because I think the recovery, when you're trying to climb out of that hole by yourself, it's a damn slippery slope and it's a hard road. But the learnings, on the other hand, are, like I said, I'm grateful for the experience. So, and Annette's suggesting clear quartz, clear mind. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, there
So
are a lot of tools out there.
we are out of time, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find Linda on her page, which is up here, Lovlali. Is it love? I mean, I pronounce it like a South Australian, then I pronounce it like I'm on the eastern seaboard. So how do you say it? You're in Darwin.
I say Lovlali,
You say
and it's
Lovlali.
actually a contraction of the words love, laugh, live.
Love it, love it, love it. Love
Yeah.
Lali. Love Lali.
Yeah.
So the link to Linda's page is above. And if you have registered on the mytimetv.live chatbot for programs and information, you'll find her link there as well. It is actually says visit the Love Lali or Linda's page. So click on that. It will take you directly to Linda's page, and you can send her a message and connect with her there, because I believe that you do work remotely as well. If so, for people who aren't in Darwin. So what a beautiful service that you're offering. And I think you may be a wee bit ahead of your time in terms of people are just starting to wake up and going, where's this help I need? And we'll get the word out there, because the help is there. They just need to know how to connect with you. So thank you, Linda.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to drop you out. Don't go anywhere. And
thanks, Adaire.
Wind this up. That was Linda Emslie from Lovlali, talking about career transitions and how you might manage them, especially if you're in a workplace that is not doing your feminine energy any good, how you manage them. She's given options for things that you can do. She can talk you through things. Her tip of the day was to, if you're there, you're sitting at your desk and you find it incredibly hard to be there for the rest of the afternoon, or if you're watching this back, just do some debriefing. Talk to a friend, see a therapist, get some energy healing. Whatever resonates with you is right for you. You have choices. That was the main thing that came through today, is you have choices. And even though you might feel like you don't have choices, put one foot in front of the other and the path will unfold for you. Thank you very much for joining us on mytimetv.live. It's community TV with Adaire. I'm Adaire Palmer, and we'll see you next week at 2 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time. It's on Wednesday, 2 p.m. See you then. Bye for now.